For more on China's property market, we are joined by Eric Schmidt, founder of China Entrepreneurs in Beijing. Thank you for joining us, Eric. Let's get right into this. The data shows that new home prices in October cooled in the top-tier cities, but in September they rose at a record pace. Why were prices so inflated in the month of September?
As more and more loans were available, people were coming into the market. People sort of had an idea that restrictions were going to be coming, so people started, going out and spending their money before those restrictions came into place.
All right, so in October, we saw a different picture, of course. In most of the 15 major cities surveyed, price growth slowed from the previous month, and in 2 cities, prices even declined. So you think that what drastically changed things there was simply the feeling that, it was simply the fact that it was going to become more expensive to get a home because you had to put a bigger down payment down, and also that it was more difficult to buy. So you think it's had the desired effect to cool things in those major cities?
I would sort of temper my enthusiasm on that at the moment until we sort of see a full month's worth of data. This was the first time the National Bureau of Statistics did a half-month report. So I would, give us 2 or 3 weeks to look back at the data and see really how the performance was. As you may know, beginning of October is busy travel season. So I'm going to guess or speculate, I don't have the data, but a lot of those buyers were possibly traveling during that time, and they may have been abroad. Not purchasing homes, they were spending their money elsewhere.
Very interesting. Why do you think it was the first time that they released this partial data just 2 weeks into the month?
I think there's concern worldwide about really what's going on in China. Is there a bubble? What is there? How is that impacting a downturn with economic data overall? So really, people are trying to get a better sense of how are things transpiring in China, and does the government have control over really the effects that they want with these new policy implementations.
Well, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, there is a lot of debate as to whether there is a bubble in the property market in China. What do you think?
People have been saying there's a bubble the 14 years that I've been in China. There will probably always be that sort of speculation. I think it's hard to say. Every year someone says there's a bigger bubble, but prices continue to go up and up. I do hope for at least the buyers that prices will sort of flatten out here so that real people will be able to purchase homes at reasonable prices.
And but obviously the government is concerned about this, and that's why they've implemented these new restrictions. Do you think the new rules will keep prices down in hot markets in the long run, or do you expect this to be just a temporary blip?
I think as long as these rules are in place, we'll sort of see that flattening out. If they're lifted or sort of eased at any time, because let's say the economic data is not good, and the local governments want to spur sort of the local investment again, or again push up prices, they'll continue to go back and ease some of those restrictions. But as long as those rules are in place, I do think that we'll sort of see a tapering off of prices.
Well, another reason the market has been so hot is that it's been pretty easy to get loans and mortgage rates are very low. How highly leveraged are home buyers right now?
Unfortunately, I think quite leveraged. Prices of these homes are extremely expensive, and if you sort of correlate that to the average income of families, there's a pretty big gap. So leverage and certainly that amount of leverage is certainly a concern for everybody. But again, because that is such a concern across the market, in all the major cities, that is something that the government is watching very closely and trying to make sure that it doesn't become too much out of control.
And on that note, do you think there will be any efforts made to curb lending at this point?
At this point, I think it's hard to say, but I do think that we will see over the next couple months no real change. Only because, again, because of the economic concerns, at least across the market, I don't think we're going to see necessarily anything changing in the next couple months from a lending standpoint.
All right, Eric, just last question. What would you advise anyone wanting to get into the market right now?
Good question. I would say, continue to wait and see, wait till we have a little bit more data. Again, there are restrictions for people who want to purchase as an investment. But for those first-time home buyers, I wait and see, in a couple weeks to see where we are with that, with those housing prices and make a decision at that point.
All right, wait and see. That seems to be the name of the game right now. Thank you so much. That was Eric Schmidt, who's the founder of China Entrepreneurs.